Hi everybody, Laurie here with the second part to Instanet Authentisign. I know we left off with checking the boxes or checking the forms that we wanted to hypothetically review. We took it into the basket. We sent an email to our customer with a note saying that we would be reviewing these contracts with them. And then I wanted to briefly show you that I went into the email and found, you can tell it's actually just kind of gibberish that I wrote there. And here's what the email would look like for the customer. And then they can go ahead and open it up, and it's going to be Patty Practice. And I believe I did two different examples here. So this one's for Rustic Place, but it was still a practice one. It's going to look just the same as this, and you would review this with your customer via phone, making sure you go over all of the information with them on the phone so that they know what they're signing. It's very important. And then we need to go into the actual signing. So at this point, then we'll be back into our Instanet screen. We can keep these same ones checked. If they did want any changes, you might have to open up the form, make a change, and then you'd need to recheck them again. But we can just leave off from here and we'll assume that everything was good. We didn't have to make any changes. They understood everything and they liked the terms. We'll go back into the basket, and now we'll take it into an Authentisign. So in this case, we're going to just go right to the pen. Now, I want you to know that there are some folks who go ahead and start the Authentisigns in a signing such as this. And in that case, you'd have to create a signing and then go get the forms again. And it's just a little quicker to just be in forms and check, 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 go to the basket and get it. And of course, there's the third way over on the left, which then it's not going to file into the correct file or transaction at all. So I would not recommend the left. So we're going to do it the easiest way of the three that I believe there are. And if you need to watch any videos, there are videos on this here. But we'll go into the basket and we will check on the pen. That brings us into an Authentisign. All right, so one of the neat things about our Authentisign is try not to let it get you too worried here. There's just 4 steps. Step 1, Step 2, Step 3, Step 4. It's already checked for Step 1, so we're already partway through it. I do want you to know that you have the opportunity to rename it towards the end here. I mean, you could rename the entire thing if you wanted to. But I like to say like round 1, or maybe the date of, whatever the date would be, like 4/19/19. But in this case, I'm going to go round 1, because sometimes you could go through several rounds of a purchase agreement and it does get confusing because it just kind of picks the first name or the first form name to name it, and that's not a good way to name it. So you have to choose between sign in line and SimuSign. Sign in line is just like it says. Maybe client A has to sign it first before client B does, and it goes in order. It doesn't go until that client has signed, and then it moves on to the next, including yourself in that line. SimuSign, or first come, first serve. It's just kind of everybody gets it at once, and whoever gets it first will sign it, and everybody could be literally signing it at the same time, and you'll get notifications on that. We're not going to talk about advanced options right now, but you can click on it later. It's pretty intuitive, and you can self-learn on that. So we'll go on to Step 2. Just click Step 2, and you're going to go ahead and grab your participants. So in this case, I'm going to be grabbing Sally Seashell. She is my fake buyer at my email. And I could, of course, check myself as the agent. In this case, I'm not going to. I'm just going to save some time and go with Sally as a remote signer. Keep in mind that when you do check your name, oftentimes you are, what's it called? Let's see. It overrides you to or it defaults into the reviewer stance. And you'd have to override it and put you as a remote signer, which means you could sign via email. I'm going to keep it as reviewer and take myself out. But a remote signer means they can click their mouse or click their phone on their email. That's what that is. An in-person signing, we'll talk about that later, but that's actually not a good way to go, so I don't want you to use it. If you do want to know what it is, please let me know. Reviewer is just that. You don't get to sign, you're just reviewing. I'd rather just not put myself in at all if I'm going to be reviewer, because I can go in later and review it. I don't need to have it be emailed me to review it. So nonetheless, I'm going to take Sally and bring her in. just by adding her. If there's more than one buyer, because this is a buyer transaction, then we would check 2 names, 3 names, what have you. And Mike was listed in there at the top. He is the listing agent. We don't want to send it to him yet. We will send him the finished product, but we won't send him anything yet. So the documents are chosen already because we were in our forms and went with the circles, check, 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 and then went into the basket. So they're kind of already here. You can look at them if you wish, and then there's just a few of them. We didn't grab them all. Keep in mind that you can click add here and go get between that transaction forms and documents. Or you could even go into your computer and get something, but typically I go in here and I'm going to look for a seller's disclosure that I would have brought in, and that's going to be a doc. So here we are, seller disclosure packet. So that could be brought in, okay? And so we're going to go ahead and add this, and pay no attention to these. These were in my practice round, and they're already back in there. Well, I'll explain how that happened. But normally you'll have just 2 or 3 documents already in there. And hopefully I picked the right one. I can take a look at it here and make sure it wasn't already signed, because I'm doing this a second time as I realized my screen was not recording last time. It's just the way we go. Okay, good. It doesn't look like I have any signatures in here, so this is going to be perfect for me to bring in. That might be a little small for you to see, but I am seeing no signatures on these lines. So great. I'm going to just keep those. So that ended up over here. If I did need to move that in order, I could change it up. It's very slow and tedious, but I could use these arrows. Now you'll notice that these have signature spots here and this one doesn't. It's because these are forms and they need to be signed yet. This is a document that we brought in, and so it doesn't have those auto signing spots in there, because remember, we can take a paper napkin and my mom's day of doing real estate, they literally wrote offers on a paper napkin. I kid you not. That might be a test question if I ask you to review this this video and tell me what my mom's experience was, and just to see if we watched the video or not. But you could scan in anything and make it into a document. But these, you have to fill in the blank and give it signatures. But we do need a signature, don't we? So we're going to do something in the design step down here on 4 to get the signatures brought into these. So let's do that. Okay, so let's not pay any attention to these. You really don't need them. You just need the add if you're going to bring in the seller's disclosure. So we're going to hit design, and we've got all those others checked, so we're in good shape. So 29 pages, and people, I didn't even select very many of those forms. It's probably that seller disclosure packet that is filling this up. So we will wait for this to load. And like I said, sometimes Authentisign is slow. So here is our purchase agreement. Here we have whose view we're looking in. So we're looking at Sally Seashell's name right now, but notice if I would have had a second buyer or even myself in here, you'd have to toggle between those. So right now we're on Sally, but we're going to sign for Sally right now, meaning we could drag and drop some initials in here like this. I'm not going to keep it there. I'm just showing you. And then we would be able to toggle and go to my name, like Laurie, as the agent, and do the same thing, and it would bring in my initials. So I did just do Sally's. It's pretty easy to get going in here when you are in a real one, so I'm going to trust that you're going to do that just fine. So there is a drag and drop option. There's also a markup option, and those are the 2 that we use the most. So I'm going to go ahead and just roll on down to see where we need to look to see any signature spots, and most of them, like it showed, are going to auto load into the form. There is one place I'm going to actually have you take it out. If dual agency does not apply in this transaction, you would simply click that name and do an exit out like this. You would just take it into the garbage can, and it actually says dual agency does not apply, so do not complete 404 through 420. So I don't know why it auto dumps the name in there, and that's just really not needed. So I took it out, and you'll sometimes have 2 names to take out. So that's just a catch there. Something wrong with the system, in my opinion. So we have an addendum to purchase agreement checked, so we'll be looking over that. And there's Sally Seashell's name to be signing. When they get this in their email, they'll simply click this with their mouse or their finger on their smartphone, and they'll be tapping away on all those yellow spots to sign. And there she is about her opportunity to review the arbitration. So, and then here is her name. Now, sometimes there's two buyers, right? And for some reason, they stack them both in onto this side, and you'll have to bring it over here and then move it to here. And then there'll still be one over here. So that is another flaw in the system. And then we'll just keep rolling down, and there'll be some spots for her to sign here. So we'll want to go to drag and drop and go initial, and we'll have talked this over that she does permit my broker. Oh, this is for sellers. I'm sorry, we'll take that out. So what I normally do for the seller here is I'll take the red line and I'll draw an X over this at this point because my buyer doesn't have to worry about it. So I just X it out like thus. And now we're good. But now I will pick up onto the buyer section, and she's going to initial that she understands all of our company disclosures. And so sometimes I will bring in the date here. It isn't necessarily needed because the computer does know when they're dating or signing and automatically date. So let's continue on. Here is the compensation disclosure. So I included that in my forms, but I didn't actually fill it out. So one thing we could do to correct that is we could be in markup and click this particular text tool and just draw it in here, a little box, and bring it up. And I could type in 2.7%. Now it is best to fill that out in the form instead, but in case I missed one, it's a good opportunity to show you that it actually will work. And I'll pop the X in there. She will have to click on this to acknowledge it, but it doesn't really take that much more time for her to do that. So I think it'll work out okay. I also noticed I missed a date, so I could bring in the date here. So, and I could actually type in the date too if I wanted to, but we'll leave it like that. And I would need to be filling out my portion here as well and signing, but I didn't include myself as a signer just because of speed here. Now this is the rest of the seller disclosure packet. And they want us to have a buyer initial here. And I'm not sure, I don't come across these too often. It must be for a, now let's have some fun. So I believe this is probably for, because Mike Olson does a lot of these, so he wants these filled out. I'm thinking he is an REO or foreclosure specialist, and so he has some elaborate things, and that was just my fun choice to pick. I just grabbed it from anywhere, but that's the listing I picked. So we'll complete it, as you will have to do. You will have to jump through hoops. You'll have to actually fill these things out. And then here is, he's adding that the buyer is responsible for purchase, installation, and carbon monoxide. So he's saying your buyer would have to agree to that. So, this is one of those hoops that you jump through for a foreclosed property. And so we'll just, you would fill out the lead, you would do all these things here. I'm not going to fill them all out, but in the seller disclosure, I'll get to that because so often that is obviously the case. We have to bring in a signature. So we'll bring in signature here, and just to have fun, a date here. One thing that I like to do with my, and then we'd have to put some initials in here, with my pages is sometimes I'll find a spot. I think we're pretty much done. I don't do earnest money. I do trust funds. That's why I don't use that earnest money receipt. Trust funds is way easier, and it's also found underneath the photo of the listing, just like we found our Instanet. But there is one portion, I'm going to see if I can get up here and find it, that I do like to use the markup tool. I guess I'll just use it on this. Sometimes I find it on the predatory offender, which is in the agency disclosure and the buyer representation agreement. But I like to take this markup tool and sometimes just highlight a certain paragraph. And so I've grabbed that tool, and you can just go like this. There's no initialing needed. it just simply might highlight some portion that you want them to, and I wanted to show that off. So we've looked at the text tool. I mean, also there's a circle tool if you wanted to highlight the price. You could do that, or a box, or just a marker that would just give you a highlight. And of course, here's our tools. And as you click on these, you could change the colors if you'd like. So here it is in blue. It kind of looks purple, but let's make it green. So there's that. I don't know. I mean, I think it can help you in certain ways, highlight certain terms, just to tell you. So we got through these purchase agreement pages, and it's all good. And you might notice that I actually could do some buyer documents, buyer broker documents, like our KW disclosure. I don't need to send that on to the listing agent, but it is for our company. And I don't mind if they're all within this purchase agreement signing, because I'm going to be able to split it out later. So next, I just literally click next, and it will send it and get it ready for me to send a note. I oftentimes do a customized note my first time through, because I tell them that it doesn't matter what font they pick. The computer really doesn't care, because there's an electronic signature. And also at the end, they'll be asked to give a PIN. And for them, if they do that, they need to write it down and remember it, because I won't have access to it. So feel free to say no thanks. And to make sure and complete the entire agreement, there's a complete button they must hit. So I'll type things like that in here, and then I'll send it off to them with the save. And you might have to say like instructions for signing, like that. And sometimes if it's two people, I'll copy the entire thing and paste it into the next person's. In this case, I'm really not going to do it because it's just to myself, but I want you to know that I often do on the first signing, because they don't know how to do it. And then I'm going to send the invitation, and on the all subsequent signings, they already know how to do it, so I don't have to customize that note anymore. So now I've just sent off this signing, and you can see that it's now in a lightning bolt status instead of the gears. That gear symbol was up here earlier, meaning it wasn't sent yet. Now it's telling me it's been sent. And as I said, I've already done one with this practice one, because I'm re-recording this. So you're going to be able to go into the documents here and see what came back. That blue ribbon meant that it was finished. And so you will see now that there's a little lock symbol next to the ones, even the certificate, that show that it came through the Authentisign completely signed. And I can go to my email and show you what that Authentisign looks like, but I don't even need to finish it because I already have all the documents. So let me get back to inbox here, and it should be coming to, oh, it is in my other email. So let me load up my, here we are back in there. And so I have an Authentisign invitation, and this is what it's going to look like for you that don't know how it looks yet. Now remember, I have a banner and everything on my signature. That's kind of nice. But you'll get a little pen. You can either click here or here, and it looks the same on your smartphone if you're doing it on a phone. So I will say I'm not a robot. I already did that earlier, so it should remember that. And it has been moving slowly lately. So here's that first comment that I had given them is you can accept the font that's been given to you. And that's why I'm opening up this for those of you that are new to Authentisign. You could select a different font style. You could draw your own signature, but the computer doesn't really care. So in the essence of speed, I would encourage you to just tell your people to accept the one that is there. And then there is a start button, and as soon as we hit this start button, they will have a red triangle, even on their phone, right over here, that will signal where they need to sign. So let's hit that. And boom, did you see how fast it got to page 12? That's why I always say you have to email them first and go over the document. There is no way that they are going to sit there and read this. It flips right to where they need to sign, and all Sally has to do is sign there, and it jumps down to 511, line 511, and she's signing there, and then she is signing here by clicking, and she's signing here by clicking, and she's got to do the X because we forgot that one, and she's signing here. And in no time at all, she's signing this big 29-page document. So that's how quickly your people will be, and they have to hit complete signing. Now they could stay in review, but they don't. They don't. So they're going to hit complete signing, and they're going to say, whew, I did it, done, nice. Here's the part with the PIN that they could put in, but I always said to them, I won't know what the PIN is that they're giving, and I'll be sending them all copies anyway, so we're just going to say no thanks. And that's how they get through this. They'll get this little message. So I'm going to pop back into here, and I'm going to refresh my screen. I'm going to go into signings actually and show you that now we have another blue ribbon. Signing. I was just having too much fun there. And then you'll see, who needs to sign it in case it's hung up. And there will be a final document here. There will also be the separate ones. But there's a better way to go in and get this. And I want to show that to you. So I'm just hitting the back button. I'm going back into my transaction. And I'm going to take you into the document section right where we were before. And we are going to look to see an enormous amount now of certificates. And here they're going to be doubled up, right? So I didn't do the contract to represent again, but you can see I've got like just about 2 of everything else because I doubled them up. But everything that's signed in that signing comes through with a symbol that it's digitally signed. So what I would do now, honestly, I would probably get rid of some of these doubles. So well, I'm not going to actually, because you don't want to ever get rid of anything that's signed. You just got to take it the way it is. So I'm going to just pick one of each. So I'll get the seller disclosure, the purchase agreement, the FOIA protection, get a home inspection. I didn't do that last time, so that worked out okay. I'm not going to send on the compensation disclosure because I don't want the other agent to have that. I'm getting this ready to send to the other agent. So that means the agency doesn't need to go him either. That goes to my broker. The disclosure for KW Classic, that doesn't go to him. And the buyer representation contract does not go to him. So we're leaving those behind. So let's see here. Is that everything we need? We've got for your home, or for your protection, get a home inspection. We've got a purchase agreement, and we've got a seller's disclosure. In truth, if I would have done more, I would have had an addendum. I would have maybe had that lead-based paint filled out separately because it's not always all included with that seller's disclosure. So if there were more, we would have checked more, but we're just hypothetically using these 3. Going up into the basket, this is the very important part in case I lost you there because we had doubles and everything. Come back around and listen. We are going to go to the basket and hit a really cool button in here, and that is the merge button. So we can merge these, and I'm going to actually put the purchase agreement first. Maybe I would also have included in here and it's a fake transaction, so I didn't have it, but any lender approval letters or anything like that, I would have checked that in here as well. I would have brought it in with the plus sign and brought it in. But I would call this now offer for Aldine, for Jason Aldine's street. And there's the selected documents that I've projected in here, and I can just merge those documents and make it one nice, clean, I'll uncheck all these, PDF that I can check right here. And here's my other one I had done on my other recording that I had to throw away because the screen wasn't showing. But here is the offer for Aldine that I did this time. I would just check this one because it's going to have, let me show you that before I actually send it off. I can open this up. It's going to be one nice PDF with everything in it. All those that I checked are now merged into a pretty PDF. So it all looks very professional and organized for me to send on to the other agent. So whatever other documents that would have had in them, we got it all taken care of here. So I would just simply at that point check the offer with the merge, go on into the basket again, and this time I would email it to the other agent that would be listed right here, Michael. I'm not going to actually do that. I'll send it to Sally just in case so I don't make any mistakes here, because it is a practice one and I'd hate to just kind of bump my screen wrong and send it to him. But you would type your note here. So it would say, "Hi, Michael. This is my full price offer with my great buyers who are in love with your property." Whatever kind of message, this is your place to sell the package, sell the offer. You can send it as a link or as an attachment. It doesn't matter, but you can send it off to him now and you can be assured that he just got your offer. So I never go to the copy machine or the printer. I keep it all right in here and I merge my docs and I send my docs, and this has just been a great use to me to be able to work within signings, know that my documents, they're back into documents as signed. I'm going to show you a live transaction so you can kind of see more carefully, and actually it's one that I just had to cancel, which is kind of sad, but let's see, I had one on Mitchell Circle right here, and I'll show you those documents. So we went in here and I had all these approvals, right? Final acceptance. And I had composed everything together and made a, here's the final approval letter. So when I brought the offer together, let's see, it's probably starting with an O, offer. This offer would have had, I believe, if I did it right, the buyer approval letter in the beginning and everything. So let me take a look at that. Maybe I put it at the end, or maybe I just attached it in the email when I sent it off. But you can see how complete this package is. Everything signed. It's all in the right order. And I could have also hit this button, which is your slicer dicer tool, is what I call it. It's the document slicer tool. But it kind of makes it look like a game of solitaire, and you can look at all your forms at once. And just in case one of the forms was maybe turned because somebody did scan it in, you know you can come back in here and turn it the right way. And you can go through here and look to see if, it's a little bit tough to see, but you can see that all of them are signed. Like at one point I had to go in and check to see was this was the final acceptance date in there, and so this isn't actually that one. This is the one that I sent to the other agent, so we're waiting for seller signatures here. So this was just the first round that I sent as the offer to them, and then later on I know I went ahead and sent that approval letter. Probably I checked this and then I checked the approval letter like this and just sent it as an email like that. So, and then you would have known that I had a signed all around. Here's contingency change. You can see how I changed the name of it to keep track of it. Finally, I have final acceptance line is signed, and then it's actually gone through Authentisign there. So you can kind of see how these documents are used. Later on, I'm going to use these documents to take it up into .loop. That is another video for another day. This was a lot, and I want you to understand that none of this works well at all, none of it at all, unless you have either created a transaction or you are either in one of your transactions, whether it be from this place here to get to your transactions or however you want to. Know that there are helpful videos here, but honestly, they're not really all that helpful. I'm not going to lie. So give me a call if you have any questions on how to do this. And I think if you need to rewatch this again, it's well worth it. So, all right. Thanks so much.